All right, welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're literally tearing down everything you thought you knew about search, and we're going to rebuild it right from the ground up. We are looking at a massive paradigm shift in how we approach queries. You see, the old world of search, well, that was all about keywords and trying to game a little white search box. But the new world, it's all about answer engine optimization, or AEO. AI assistants and answer engines, they don't just fetch a list of blue links for us to scroll through anymore, they synthesize complete, cohesive answers. And to win in this highly conversational new environment, you absolutely need a brand new blueprint. I want you to really let this quote sink in for a second. In an answer engine world, the question is the product. I mean, this completely flips the script, doesn't it? Think about how most marketing teams operate right now. They'll spend hours, sometimes weeks, agonizing over complex spreadsheets, site structure, technical audits, content formats. But then they spend maybe 5 minutes deciding what question they're actually trying to answer. That ratio is completely backward. If you pick the wrong question to start with, literally no amount of brilliant formatting is going to save your page.
Okay, let's dive into this masterclass blueprint. Here's exactly what we're covering: why keyword research fails, the AEO query pyramid, finding real questions, the research workflow, and finally, maintaining your moat. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Why keyword research fails. Let's talk about why this old habit is fundamentally breaking down right in front of our eyes. Look, classic keyword research is kind of like a blunt instrument. It aggressively rewards those broad, massive head terms. You know, those 1 or 2 word phrases getting tens of thousands of searches. And because of that, it actively punishes the long tail. It effectively tricks you into ignoring the highly specific questions people are actually asking when they are ready to pull out their credit cards. AEO research, on the other hand, is completely different. It weaves these interconnected webs. Answer engines synthesize natural language responses based on really deep context. They're built to handle incredibly complex, nuanced questions that traditional SEO tools completely miss, mostly because the monthly search volume for any single super specific variation is basically tiny. To really visualize what's happening here, it's like a giant iceberg. When your favorite keyword tool shows you one high-volume query, you are literally only seeing the tip of the iceberg poking out above the water. Relying purely on those traditional tools is a really great way to crash your ship because it blinds you to the massive opportunities sitting right beneath the surface. True SEO actually lives in those 20 incredibly specific follow-up questions underneath. That is exactly where the real user intent is swimming, and that's exactly where you need to be. So if we can't just stare at the tip of the iceberg, how do we actually fix our approach? Section 2, the AEO query pyramid. So there are 3 distinct layers you absolutely must conquer here. Up at the very top, you've got your seed queries. Think project management software. This defines your broad territory. But let's be real, classic SEO is an absolute bloodbath at this layer. You're fighting giant corporations with endless marketing budgets. The second layer down is the follow-up. A good example would be PM software for remote teams under 10. Now, this is the real battleground. This is where AEO visibility is actually won or lost, because AI models heavily prioritize this exact level of specificity. And finally, at the bottom, you have adjacent queries, like cost per seat for PM tools. This is where those follow-up journeys naturally end up. Answering adjacent queries is exactly where your citation share compounds over time, which builds holistic authority. The massive mistake most teams make, they throw all their time and money at the seeds. But the real AEO winners build deliberate, structured coverage across all 3 of these layers. Section 3, finding real customer questions. If the keyword tools are blinding us, where do we actually go looking for this stuff? Now, what's really interesting about this is that we are stepping completely away from software tools. We are going straight into messy, authentic human conversations. Your absolute highest signal source: customer support tickets and chat logs. Seriously, that is raw, unfiltered friction. Next, start mining your sales call transcripts for the real objections people throw out right before a deal closes. Dive into Reddit, Quora, and niche forums and pay super close attention to the tone and the exact words users are choosing. Scour YouTube comments for that predictable but what about pattern, where a video clearly left a gap in the viewer's understanding. Also, check your own internal site search logs to see what people literally can't find on your own website, and analyze AI assistant conversation patterns. You know, everyone uses Google's People Also Ask as a crutch, but honestly, that's just a starter kit. The list we just went through, that is your actual treasure map. I really want to drive this specific insight home. The single most profitable question you can answer today is likely the one a customer asked your support team last week. And guess what? It probably isn't in any keyword tool on the entire market. Real human friction points indicate real buying intent. If someone was frustrated enough or interested enough to actually take the time to contact your support team, You can basically guarantee that hundreds of others are silently asking answer engines that exact same thing.
And this perfectly highlights the volume trap versus the revenue target. Chasing a 50,000 volume head term, yeah, that might look fantastic on a marketing report for the executive team, but if you can't convert that broad, undefined, low-intent traffic, it's virtually useless to your bottom line. Compare that to a highly specific 200 volume question that sits right next to the point of purchase. Answering that smaller, tightly targeted question drives actual revenue. We have to stop chasing vanity volume and start targeting commercial value. Section 4, the query research workflow. Okay, we know what we need to find, we know where to look, so let's actually build the step-by-step system.
I want you to treat this workflow as a non-negotiable operational habit, not just a casual suggestion, okay? Step 1. Define your cluster boundary in a single sentence using your topic, persona, and action. Step 2. Go to those human sources we just talked about and collect 100 candidate questions from at least 4 different sources. Step 3. Deduplicate them and tag them by funnel stage and intent. This is crucial. It stops you from cannibalizing your own content and confusing the AI later on. Step 4. Score them on a 1 to 5 scale based on commercial value, frequency, and competitive gap. This just ensures you aren't blowing your budget on useless answers. Step 5. Narrow the whole thing down to a top 50 living set. And finally, Step 6. Publish a comprehensive content map before you write a single word. Map out your pages, your FAQs, and the evidence you'll need.
So the crucial point here is how you actually group these questions once you've found them. The old mistake was clustering by keyword similarity, like if the words look the same, they went on the exact same page. But the new mandate? We are clustering by decision. For example, think about the questions, is software X worth it? And how much does software X cost? They don't share many keywords at all, do they? But they absolutely belong together because they drive the exact same buy or don't buy decision for the user. And that brings us to the ultimate litmus test for your groups. A good cluster feels like a real conversation. It has to pass what's called the one-sentence answer test. Basically, if you can write a single answer module that satisfies every question in that specific cluster, you've got a coherent cluster. If you read the questions in order, it should literally sound like your user thinking out loud, working their way step by step toward making a purchase. Section 5, maintaining your query moat. Let's talk about preventing strategy decay. Because honestly, everything we've discussed so far, building this incredible query set, it means absolutely nothing if you just build it and abandon it. Let's map out the actual pacing required to keep this thing alive. Weekly, you need to be capturing 10 to 20 new questions from your support, sales, and community channels. Monthly, you got to take time to merge duplicates, update those tags, and rescore your lists based on shifting priorities. And quarterly, you retire the dead questions and promote the rising ones. I'm warning you right now, please take this seriously. If you treat query research as a quarterly task, your 9-month-old set is already 20% stale. No joke, it absolutely has to be a living, breathing document. Which brings us to a very specific, magical number, 60. That is the 60 minutes per week required by exactly one named owner. If you have a brilliant top 50 list, but there's no named owner whose single hour is fiercely protected to maintain it, the entire system is going to inevitably decay. Somebody has to be completely responsible for keeping the heartbeat of this query set going. So when you log into work on Monday morning, I want you to avoid these specific traps. Stop treating research as a quarterly task. Stop relying exclusively on high-volume keyword tools that totally ignore user intent. Never cluster by keyword instead of decision. Don't build a beautiful top 50 list and then fail to assign a named owner to it. And lastly, do not start building content pages without mapping your questions first, or I guarantee you'll end up with massive, expensive coverage gaps by month 2. I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Right now in your organization, who currently owns your decaying query set? A living query set with a dedicated owner isn't just a random spreadsheet. It is a compounding moat. When your query set is truly alive, absolutely everything downstream, your content, your measurement, your PR, your community interactions, it all gets incredibly sharper. So take a hard look at your processes today, go find your real questions, and claim your territory in the answer engine era. Thanks so much for joining me on today's Explainer.